Okay, so today's April 17th notes. And if you noticed on your sheet, it's very, very short, and we don't have to worry about, this section, and we don't have to worry about this section. So hopefully you won't have that on yours. Reminder that you can use the little Windows button and the arrows in order to make your little half screen and put my video on one side and your notes on the other side like this. But in the meantime, let's keep going with our notes here. Now, this is one of my favorite days of notes because you get to see something really gross, but cool at the same time. So we're going to talk about symbiosis. So that sim, obviously there's bio in here, there's life, and that sim means the same, or they're helping each other. And once again, that's my daughter growling in the background. So if you hear that, that's what's going on. So symbiosis is two or more species living in close contact with each other. So very close, really close, disgustingly close at some points. You'll see what I mean in a second. So three major types of symbiotic interactions. There are three major types. Yes, good job, Lola. There's mutualism. This is a plus-plus interaction, so that means both species benefit. There's parasitism, which is a plus-minus. So one spin is hurt somehow. And then commensalism is really interesting. It's a +0 interaction, which means one organism benefits and one does not experience anything at all. It's not hurt. It's not benefited in any way. So we're going to go through some examples of these. So let's start out with mutualism here. If it'll let me, click forward, that would be cool. Come on now. Let's see if it'll cooperate with me now. We're going to start out with mutualism here, as long as this will actually, yay, it worked. Okay, so we've got an acacia tree and ants. So the ants actually live inside these thorns. So the acacia tree, one, provides shelter, and then the ants help basically by aerating and fertilizing the tree so that it can grow larger. So the ants get a home in the thorns, and the acacia tree gets to grow larger. So if you can see that area cleared by the ants at the base of an acacia tree, it kind of eliminates all the competition, which is pretty awesome. Clownfish and anemone is one you should be pretty used to. So this is the clownfish gets cleaned by the anemone, and then it helps remove parasites off of the anemone itself. So once again, these are everybody wins. There's a positive for both interactions here. Then there is my personal favorite, parasitism. So you've got this video. Hopefully it'll go ahead and play on its own here. It is gross. If you are very squeamish, you might not want to watch, but this is just the perfect example of parasitism.
12 days gorging itself. It now appears profoundly obese. But this is not all fat. The Glomerata wasp larvae lie just under its skin. Each is the size of a grain of rice, but together they account for over a third of the caterpillar's weight.
So a wasp laid its eggs in this caterpillar.
The larvae have not yet finished growing and need to keep their host alive. So although they feast on the caterpillar's blood, they have been careful not to touch a single one of its vital organs.
So caterpillar doesn't know that anything's different. It's just got a bunch of wasps living in it.
This uneasy truce will not last. Within days, the larvae are fully matured. Suddenly, they begin to stir into action. For the past 2 weeks, this surrogate womb has protected them, but now they no longer need it. To complete the next stage of their life cycle, they must break out.
So wasp laid its eggs in the caterpillar. Those eggs turn into larvae.
Should be a solid barrier to the parasitic wasp larvae. But as their bodies have grown, they have developed tiny, saw-like teeth.
Yeah.
These jagged jaws are for one job only: cutting their way out. Stroke by stroke, the larvae slice through the tough layers of skin. At the same time, they release chemicals that paralyze the
If you're
caterpillar.
squeamish, you might want to look away here in a little bit. This part's gross, man.
As the larvae break through, there is nothing it can do.
Yep.
Free at last, the larvae enter a new phase of development. They swiftly spin silken cocoons. These will provide the perfect environment for their final transformation. But ironically, one of the greatest dangers the larvae will face is being themselves impregnated by other species of parasitic wasp. Incredibly, the wounded caterpillar helps them out. Usually, a caterpillar would spin a silken blanket to make its own cocoon. But the parasitized caterpillar spins his blanket on top of the wasp cocoons, giving them an extra layer of protection. Scientists believe the same wasp virus that infected it weeks before has now invaded the caterpillar's brain and caused this bizarre corruption of its normal behavior. Amazingly, the caterpillar's natural aggression is now also exploited by the wasp virus. The caterpillar becomes a bodyguard, actively protecting the cocoons from other parasites. It will watch over them unceasingly until it eventually starves to death.
Yeah, so super gross. So it says wasp virus, but it's not a virus. It's just using that as another example of a parasite. So a wasp comes along, lays its eggs in the caterpillar. Those eggs turn into the larva, and then those larvae eat their way out of the caterpillar, and the caterpillar doesn't die. And remember at the beginning it says that those larvae don't touch a single organ in the caterpillar. So the caterpillar doesn't die. And then that caterpillar is affected by these chemicals that the wasp larva released. And so it doesn't spin a cocoon for itself. It spins its cocoon over the larva to protect them. And then it defends it from any other predators. It basically becomes a zombie. So pretty crazy. And a scary parasite. I'm sure you guys have heard of more parasites. Botfly is another really gross one. So that was a plus-minus interaction, obviously. It went right into, I want to talk about one more thing with parasitism. So this is called brood parasitism. What you're looking at here is a nest with eggs, so it's a bird nest. So these would be laid by the parent birds. Let's say, for example, they are cardinals. Okay, I don't think that's what they are, but I don't know what those eggs are off the top of my head. Let's say these are cardinals, right? So the female cardinal lays her eggs here, and then a female cowbird comes along and lays this egg. When this egg hatches, it kicks all the other eggs out of the nest, or all the other babies out of the nest. So it is the only one there. And the parents raise it as it was their own. So that's kind of a crazy little way of parasitism as well. Once again, plus minus for obvious reasons. One species benefits a lot, and one species is hurt. Now, the next one is commensalism. So this is a +0. So this is something benefits and something is not affected at all. Okay, so my favorite one here, I'm just going to focus on this picture, is the nesting bird and the tree. So a bird builds its nest in a tree. The bird, it's a symbiotic relationship because they're living very closely together, but the bird has absolutely zero effect on the tree, and meanwhile the bird benefits. It has a place to live. Now, some scientists think that commensalism is a myth. There's no true commensalism type of relationship because there always has to be some sort of positive or negative going on. So a scientist who did not believe in commensalism might say, oh, but the bird poops by the tree and maybe that helps to fertilize it, for example. But until we hear otherwise from a reputable source, we're just going to know that commensalism is a thing. So following along with your notes, you are very vocal today. We've got symbiosis. 2 or more species live in, and I believe it's close contact is how they put it on here. Let me double check myself. Close contact with each other, yes. ++ interaction where everybody wins. Parasitism +- interaction, that is the most common symbiosis. Commensalism, a +0 interaction in which one species benefits and the other is not affected. Okay, we will start a fun little activity with these next class, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope you're staying safe, and I miss you, and hope all is well. Let us know if you need any help. Yes, you are very loud. I don't know if they can hear you, but man, I sure can.